This book, Nevernight, by Kristoff, is an adult fantasy novel in which the protagonist seeks to avenge her father's death and the fact that her mother and brother were thrown into Philosopher's Stone, the prison of the city of God's grave, in which the book is set in. So she joins the School of Red Church, which was the school of assassins, and undergoes rigorous training to avenge the death of her father. I would say that I didn't enjoy the book at all. To some, the book might come across as a bit too cliched, with the protagonist taking revenge for all the wrongs that had been done to her with no element of novelty in it. I would say that the book is best enjoyed when read the second time when you are well acquainted with the fantastical elements of the book. The writing style would have appealed to me more if I had read the book in my early teenage years rather than in my adulthood. The story is set in a world where there are three suns, the San, the Sai, and the She, all of which shine almost eternally in the Etrian sky, except for once every 2.5 years when there is a spell of true dark and hence the name Nevernight. The San and the She wander for about nearly 100 weeks at a time, while the Sai, a blue star, shines for about 14 weeks at a time. The author has attempted world building of the Republic of Etria and the city of God's grave in the footnotes, but I would have liked the book better if the world building had been done in the main chunk of the story instead of in the footnotes, and if there was more of world building. I would say that it was a difficult read initially, as I had to Google some of the elements that were mentioned in the book in order to fully understand them. It might take you some time to grasp the mystical and the fantastical elements of the book. I would reiterate the fact that I would have liked the book better if the author had laid more emphasis on the world building instead of just putting out the gist in the footnotes. Another point worth mentioning is that the protagonist had a cat made up of shadows that would follow her wherever she would go. It would sometimes coil beside her feet or perch on her shoulders and would give her worldly advice, comforting and consoling her at her times of dismay. The formless cat made up of shadows is my most favorite mystical element in the book. I wish I had a similar formless shadow cat perching on my shoulders and giving me solicited advice when needed. This is my impression of what a shadow cat would look like, just a translucent silhouette of a cat. Now let us take a moment to appreciate the efforts put in by the illustrators in designing of the book. The cover of the book is so aesthetically pleasing to look at, as you can see. There are two maps at the beginning of the book which are so elaborately designed and visually pleasing to look at. This is the map of the Republic of Etria. They commenced their journey from Last Hope in the Ashkahi province in a ship named Trelin's View and went through the Sea of Sorrows to the Sea of Swords, where she threw off a rogue element of the ship at Crow's Nest and thus committed her third murder. These are the Isles of Dwem, the native place of the Dwemeri tribe. This is the map of the city of God's grave. This is the Philosopher's Stone, where her mother and brother were banished after her father's death. I couldn't finish the book despite being written so meticulously. I might have enjoyed the book if I had read it in my early teenage years, but the book is an adult fantasy novel not meant for children. This book has two sequels, God's Grave and Dark Dawn. I would give this book a 2.5 out of 5 stars. Thanks for stopping by my channel. See you in the next video.